Egghead Hockey here. Today we're going to be talking about some news about the NHL, but first we're going to go over how Phase 2 works, and I have already done this in previous videos, but it's just going to be a quick recap to fill in those of you who forgot. And I'm not going to go deep into detail, it's just going to be like blah 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 blah, quickly go through. Anyways, after that, we're going to talk about some big news in the NHL about the pandemic that involves and severely affects the NHL. But before we get into today's video, I have something to go over. In today's video, I need to mention that I can't say the pandemic's name or I'll get copyrighted. And when I get copyrighted, Russia blocks me. So yeah, don't want to get blocked in Russia. Anyways, make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on post notifications so that you don't miss a video. On June 8th, the Phase 2 protocol began. This meant that players were allowed to return to their training facilities and their team's city. And they were also allowed to go to optional on and off ice sessions. Most of the off-ice training is individual training, and the group sessions are limited to small groups. And they also have minimal staff. Staff, including coaches, are also not allowed to go on the ice. Each player will be frequently tested throughout the phases, starting in Phase 2. During Phase 2, the NHL has been working on a return day, and as I estimated in an earlier video, I estimated that the NHL would return around early or mid-July. Most people are saying that it was mid-July, so my prediction was pretty much accurate. But based on the news that I'm about to talk about, the NHL may not return as soon as we like or at all. The news I'm talking about is NHL virus testing, and more importantly, multiple players testing positive. On June 19th, the NHL announced that 11 players had tested positive for the virus, and around 200 players have been tested since June 8th. And for those of you who follow me on my Twitter, at Egghead Hockey by the way, you would see that I tweeted out some tweets on the NHL and some news. So if you want to see updates and news, just quickly, tiny little sentences, follow my Twitter. Anyways, now that I'm done constantly telling you to follow, subscribe, by the way you should, let's get back into the video. Like I mentioned, around 200 players were tested and 11 were tested positive. And of those 11 players, one is Austin Matthews. So this brings me to a question that I brought up in an earlier NHL virus update video. And that is, what will it look like if a star player gets sick mid-series? And I guess that's just going to be a variable that we're going to have to deal with, which sucks. And I definitely see a lot of angry fans getting really mad over this in the event that it actually happens. If it doesn't happen, well then we're really lucky because this virus, as you probably know, spreads really fast. And I wouldn't be surprised if at least one star player in the playoffs gets sick. Star players getting sick isn't the main reason why I'm discussing the 11 players that tested positive. It's just one small thing. But the more important things are, how will this affect the restarting of the NHL, and also, slightly smaller, what has happened because of this? Well, something that has happened because of this is the closing of the Tampa Bay Lightning's training facility due to multiple players from the Lightning getting sick. But more importantly, how will this affect the restarting of the NHL? Well, nothing has been officially changed, as this news is relatively new at the time of recording, and also because there isn't a set date or locations for the NHL's return, so there's nothing to change really. And even ex-NHLer Kevin Bieksa thinks the NHL still has a long way to go before they return, and a lot of players are very skeptical, so the NHL isn't going to 100% return, and there's still a very good chance that all this fails and all this work was for nothing. And especially now because 11 players have gotten sick and the games haven't even started yet. They are literally only doing small group sessions, and at the most, literally. But players still got sick somehow, I think 5 is the max, and players are still getting sick. And yes, 11 out of 200 isn't that much, but all it takes is a few people, and the next thing you know, there's an outbreak in the league. So before I said the NHL will most likely return, but now my opinion has changed, and I'm saying there's like a 60 to 70% chance. But even then, it won't be the same. Like I've mentioned before, the play will most likely have minimal contact, including no fighting and no hitting. And that was looking like it wasn't going to be true for a little bit, or at least the hitting part. But now, I don't know. The NHL might literally have no contact, except for light brushes, maybe pinning, and maybe trying to protect the puck and, like pushing players out. And both the Canadian and American governments are taking this very seriously, and they're not just going to let the NHL play because, they feel like it and they want all the money. They're taking this seriously, and they're thinking about the safety. And I think some people, or at least the people who live near me, aren't taking this pandemic seriously. I live in British Columbia, so the cases aren't the highest, but you never know when an outbreak could happen. I really want the NHL to return, but now I'm facing some doubt. And honestly, I'm close to saying it's 50-50. I'm not going to say the NHL is 100% canceled, but I'm not going to say the NHL is 100% going to return. We have a long way to go with the NHL returning, and the NHL needs to take this step by step and not rush into it. We need to take our time so that we can do this properly. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, make sure you like, subscribe, and follow my Twitter at Egghead Hockey. And also, please turn on post notifications so you don't miss a video. And until next time, bye!